Excellent. Welcome everybody to the MS in Climate Finance Admitted Student Virtual Session. You are in for a treat. We have quite a few phenomenal administrators joining us today, and this truly is going to be a deep dive into both Columbia Climate School and, of course, the MS in Climate Finance program in particular. We are going to get started very shortly, but if you are familiar with our virtual formats, we always like to see where everybody is joining us from. And I want to just highlight that the MS in Climate Finance program is a particularly global audience. So I would love it if you, specifically in the Q&A function, share with us your city, state, if relevant, and country, where you're based. We would love to see that. It would be extremely helpful. So go ahead and, again, feel free to share that in the Q&A. It's always fun to see it. So great. We have Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Leela. So glad you make it. You're making it. We have Albania. Welcome. We have Bhutan. Excellent. Will's in San Francisco. California is always strong representation. Francesca in the Netherlands. We look forward to seeing you next week, Francesca. So glad you can come out. Bogota, Colombia. Felipe, I'm so glad you're here. Sydney in New York. Welcome, Sydney. Although a Florida native, if I recall correctly. Shanghai, China, New Delhi, India. Kevin in Mountain View, so glad you're here, Kevin. Anna's in Syracuse. Maria Paula, the one and only, welcome, welcome. Catherine's in NYC. Greta's in Frankfurt, Germany. Guy's in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We have London, UK represented. Andreas, so glad you're here. Julian, hey, how's it going? Toronto, living in Paris, I do remember that. And then Al Hassan's in the UAE. Welcome, guys. Again, feel free to share some additionals if you haven't already typed in. We are recording the session today. I just want to confirm the session is being recorded. I'm also asking my colleagues to make sure the session is being, if the record button is going. We want to make sure of that. And then, we got one more. Hamsini in Bangalore. And I owe you an email, so stay tuned for that. So I just want to say a huge congratulations again to our MS in Climate Finance admitted students. Today is, as I mentioned from the top, going to be a real deep dive into our degree program, and you're going to hear many, many administrators across Columbia Climate School and the university itself about the various resources and opportunities that we are offering. And again, we are recording this session, so we will make sure to share the recording with you after. Just to briefly go over the agenda, we are going to go ahead and discuss Columbia Climate School broadly. Many of you have already, have an understanding, but it's always worth repeating. We're also going to deep dive into the MS in Climate Finance curriculum. And many of you have a dedicated curriculum document. If not all of you should have a dedicated curriculum document. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that. We're also going to discuss professional development opportunities while in both the MS in Climate Finance program and as a Columbia Climate student, financial aid, and then a faculty welcome. And we're going to do it a little differently today. Professor Lisa Sachs is currently in London at the House of Lords, I understand, always traveling, and so she is going to be joining the session at a later point during the virtual info session. But I want to just give the formal introduction to Lisa Sachs prior to her joining. So when Lisa Sachs does come on, I want to just anchor everybody in learning more about her. I know many of you attended our Admitted Student Day on March 13th, so you were able to meet and engage with Lisa last Friday. To give those who couldn't join some background on Professor Sachs, she is the director of Columbia Center on Sustainable Investments, CCSI, and she is also an associate professor here at Columbia Climate School. And most importantly, for this audience in particular, she's the director of our MS in Climate Finance program. Since joining CCSI in 2008, she established and oversees CCSI's interdisciplinary research and advisory work on the alignment of investment law, practices and policies with the Sustainable Development Goals. She's globally recognized expert in the ways that laws, policies, and business practices shape global investment flows and affect sustainable development. She works with governments around the world, regional and international development organizations, financial institutions, companies, civil societies, and academic centers to understand the interrelation of investment flows, sustainable development, and to influence investment policies and practices to promote the SDGs and the Paris agreements. So again, stay tuned. Professor Lisa Sachs is going to do a surprise celebrity appearance almost later in the presentation, and she'll be providing a warm welcome. I also want to note that Professor Sachs, and in fact, if I can ask my colleague Damaris Diaz to copy and paste in the chat box, our March 28th, which is a Saturday, dedicated session with Lisa. So it is exclusive one time with Professor Lisa Sachs, where it's a very casual kind of meeting. We almost call it like a coffee chat with Professor Sachs. It's going to be in the morning here in the States. So again, if you haven't already registered for that event, we strongly encourage you to do so. We'll be sending a reminder email, and again, the registration will be pasted into the chat. Thank you so much. Just to, again, briefly anchor everybody on Columbia Climate School, I always like to give a little bit more background on the school's origin stories itself. And so, first and foremost, Columbia Climate School is one of the independent schools of Columbia University, of course. When you say Columbia University, you're referring to a major research institution with over 20 different graduate professional schools and undergraduate schools that fall within the umbrella. It's the fifth oldest institution in the United States, the oldest university in the state of New York, and considered a blueprint by many of research institutions. Columbia Climate School is the newest school within Columbia University. We were announced in 2020, formally launched in 2021. We have been scaling in a really fantastic manner through our faculty talent and through the rollout of really dynamic graduate and professional degree programs, the MS in Climate Finance, of course, included. But one thing I always like to emphasize is that when you say Columbia Climate School was announced in 2020 and launched in 2021, I want to emphasize that the university has had decades in the climate space and the sustainability space, because we were born out of the Earth Institute, which was the largest research center here at Columbia University, and also Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory, which is a 189-acre research campus about 45 minutes north of Columbia Climate School. All Lamont researchers fall within the Columbia Climate School structure, so to speak. And so just a fun fact I always like to give about kind of our work in the climate space as a university is that the first academic research paper to coin the term global warming was actually a Lamont Doherty faculty member in the 1970s. So we have an incredible number of climate scientists at Columbia University, and we've been, as I mentioned, in this space for decades. So we might be a new school, so to speak, but our work is long-standing within the university. And that then brings us to kind of our ethos at Columbia Climate School. The world requires knowledgeable leaders to work with businesses, communities, governments, and civil society to address climate change. And Columbia Climate School's graduate degree programs and other learning opportunities will provide that interdisciplinary, and I can't emphasize that enough, interdisciplinary knowledge base for climate leaders with diverse interests and backgrounds. When you come to Columbia Climate School, there is no cookie-cut Columbia Climate student. Students that are coming to this program are coming from a variety of academic disciplines and professional backgrounds. The through line for all of them is this passion and interest in addressing the challenges, and especially, and I have to lean into this, exploring the opportunities with climate change. You as climate finance professionals, future climate finance professionals, will be exploring those opportunities, of course. And so that brings us now to just really diving a little bit deeper into the degree program. So the MS in Climate Finance is a one-year STEM-designated 39 credit hour professional degree offered by Columbia Climate School in close collaboration with Columbia Business School. It's an interdisciplinary degree that integrates climate science with fundamental financial management practices that equips students with the financial decision making skills to respond to climate change. And that brings us, I want to just emphasize our partnership with Columbia Business School here. So, from the top, this is a Columbia Climate School degree. The degree is conferred by Columbia Climate School. But the partnership with Columbia Business School is critical. Nearly half of your credits are going to be coming from Columbia Business School. And my colleague Tricia Brown is going to detail your finance core and your elective journey through the business school shortly. But this partnership is pivotal in terms of what makes this degree program unique. You know, Columbia Business School has the expertise in finance with cutting edge research, preparing future leaders to address financial challenges. Many of the courses that are going to be discussed today, specifically in the business school, have been offered for decades, and many of the electives that I know you're going to be hearing more about those electives, and there's additional electives that are always getting added and evolved, but many of these electives that are going to be discussed have been taught at the business school for several years. So they've been in the climate finance space for many years, and their partnership is going to be and is critical to the delivery of this incredibly unique program. I want to just now also touch on who studies in the MS in Climate Finance program in particular. So in the inaugural cohort, the group of students that joined us in the fall of 2025, about 35% entered directly from undergrad, roughly 65% entered with full-time work experience. Within that learning community, 21 countries are represented. The average age is 26 years old. And of the students with professional experience, so that's 65% pool, about 63% came with private sector experience, and the remaining 25% public sector, 11% NGOs. Organizations that are represented within the inaugural MS in Climate Finance program include individuals that came from consulting roles at Deloitte, Ernst & Young. We also had students that came from BNP Paribas, JP Morgan, Bank America, and then of course we have students with policy backgrounds. We have students from the Ministry of Finance in Indonesia, for example, or their equivalents of the Environmental Protection Agency in their home countries. And then we have students also that come from multilateral organizations like the World Bank or the United Nations. And that, and then just some additional high-level items of the MS in Climate Finance program in terms of the mission of the program. We want students to understand the science of climate change and its varying economic and social environmental impacts. We want you to translate the implications of climate research into appropriate financial and business language and decision making. And then, of course, a big word in this is assess risks and opportunities associated with climate change. And then finally, evaluate the financial tools and strategies that can be applied to accelerate the energy transition and to finance critical investments in both mitigation and adaptation. And that brings me to my colleague, Tricia Brown, who's really going to give you the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of the MS in Climate Finance curriculum, a real deep dive.
Thank you, Alfred. Hello, everyone. Welcome and congratulations on your acceptance to the MS in Climate Finance program. I'm Tricia Brown, the program manager for this program, working closely with Professor Lisa Sachs on all aspects of the program, and also working very closely with students on academic advising, developing student programs and opportunities, working with faculty, and everything in collaboration with my colleagues in the academic affairs team, several of whom you'll hear from today. So I just want to share some details. I know Alfred just gave you an overview of the curriculum. I want to share a few more details on courses and everything as you consider this important opportunity at the climate school. So in this 1-year interdisciplinary program, here's the flow over the year: 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer. 39 credits are required for the degree. You'll start with orientation and the start of your core classes in early September. And you'll take all of your climate school core courses and the beginning of your business school core courses in the fall semester. And then in the spring semester, You will be taking the remainder of your business school core courses, and you'll be taking electives across both schools, predominantly business school electives in that semester. Then in the summer, you finish up your last 6 credits of electives, and predominantly at the climate school in that semester. And you'll also be doing an applied learning experience, either a capstone or an internship, where you'll be translating concepts and applying them to real world projects. My colleague, Caitlin Sorrow, is going to be speaking about that in a little bit. And overall, you're drawing from the academic and faculty strengths of both schools, while your academic advising, your career services, and your student programs are centered here, and your degree will be conferred by the climate school. So on the next slide, let me tell you a little bit more about which course happens when exactly, and I'll be saying a little bit more about these courses specifically in a bit. So here you can see the curriculum flow, and overall the program is designed with 24 credits of core courses as well as 15 credits of electives, with the requirement that you have to take at least 6 credits at both schools. And obviously you'll be able to go higher than 6 credits to reach the 15 credits. You're required to maintain a 3.0 GPA across your core courses, and cumulatively, you also have the opportunity within the same tuition to exceed the 39 credits if you wish to go over and take additional courses that you are interested in. And that's something that you would work with with me as your academic advisor. As long as you're in good academic standing, that's something that students do and an opportunity to take advantage of. On the next slide, I'm going to go into what the core courses are that you'll be taking. So now, can you share the next slide, please? Thank you. So here in the green, you'll see these are the core courses at both school, and in the green are the climate school core courses. So climate change adaptation, this is a course that everyone in the whole learning community here at the climate school takes. It offers an interdisciplinary framework on climate change with perspectives from the natural sciences, from law, anthropology, humanitarian aid, public policy. And then you also will take climate change mitigation. That's one of the courses that Professor Lisa Sachs teaches. That's an overview of the technologies, policies, and other tools that can be used to mitigate the impacts of climate change. She also brings in a number of guest speakers from across the climate school in this course. Another course that's also taken across the whole learning community is Dynamics of Climate Variability and Change, which offers you a physical science-based understanding of climate change. And this course is designed with pacing that accommodates a wide range of backgrounds. So students who feel it may be helpful are encouraged to do a math and science prep program that's offered by the climate school over the summer. It is self-paced, but it is led by a faculty member. And then last but not least is International Climate Finance. This is the one core course that is only taken by the climate finance cohort. So it is unique to this program. It's also taught by Professor Sachs, and it is a strong foundational course that explores the types of financial instruments and narratives in the global climate finance landscape and how they apply across sectors, regions, and institutional settings. And one thing I want to note here is that climate justice is woven throughout the curriculum, and it is integrated in this course in particular through exploration of themes of who is disadvantaged and favored in the current financial systems, who pays for climate solutions, and how do these different financial instruments and structures of international finance shape what does and doesn't get financed. Then over at the business school, in the fall, students will gain core financial skills that the MBAs are learning as well, just to draw from the strengths in the program at the business school. And two of the courses in the fall are Foundations of Valuation and Corporate Finance. And through these courses, you'll become familiar with the most common financial instruments, the basic concepts of risk and return, and the methods and frameworks for valuing a firm. Then in the spring, you'll be deepening that foundational knowledge through capital markets and investments, climate finance, and climate risk. And we often get questions from students that they're arriving with significant academic or professional background in finance. There are exemption exams for these first 3 core courses. And you have the opportunity over the summer to take those exams. And if you pass, you do not have to take those 3 courses. It does not mean that it shortens the program for you. It does mean that you will have access to business school electives sooner than the rest of the cohort. So if you join us, and hopefully you will, you'll hear a lot more about that over the summer. So on the next slide, let's take a look at some of the climate school electives. So these are the current electives in the MS Climate Finance program. As Alfred said earlier, we're always developing new electives, and this is the current slate, but it's just to give you an idea of what current students have been taking, and they're starting now and they're finishing in the summer with these electives. So the darker green are the MSCF specific electives. All but one are brand new and designed for this program. And when the Climate School was launching the program, we identified the knowledge areas that are essential for an in-depth understanding of climate finance to ensure that students have a robust toolkit before leaving this program. So these courses really have those curricular objectives in mind. Some of them are taught by adjunct faculty who are bringing real-world case studies into the classroom, and they are opportunities to really delve into climate finance aligned courses. But I also wanted to share with you these lighter green electives. So as you can see that there are courses across the climate school that students will have access to so that they can round out their knowledge with more, let's say, science or policy-based courses. And what I've done is, this is not an exhaustive list because the slide is only so big. So I've just pulled a few samples that the current cohort are enrolled in as well, just so you can get a look at that. And as Alfred mentioned, I want to make sure that you have seen in your email the curriculum document that was circulated. You are welcome to, you'll have access to all of the syllabi for these courses and the business school courses on that. And you're welcome to, of course, send questions to follow up and or bring questions to this session next Saturday with Professor Lisa Sachs on the curriculum. Then let's go over to the business school. Okay, so I want to point out that the electives in this program are limited to the business school and the climate school, and this is the curated menu of courses that you have to choose from at the business school. You can see in the dark blue electives at the top, this is a wide range of topics covered, but the majority are climate and sustainability focused and very aligned with program goals. Again, like at the climate school, courses are taught by a combination of both adjunct faculty who are practitioners in the field, as well as full-time faculty. Then at the bottom, you see the lighter blue courses, which are offering students broader business skills such as financial accounting, corporate financial management, and others. And this is where students really can gain a holistic set of financial and business goals. And based on this range of courses that I've just described at both schools, you can see that this program is offered in partnership with the business school, but designed to be quite distinct from an MBA program. And the number one advantage is that it allows students to benefit from the faculty expertise at both schools and emerge with a deep understanding of the scope of the ecosystem of climate finance, examining it through both public and private sector lenses and integrating that knowledge with a diverse set of interdisciplinary climate courses and a very holistic integrated curriculum. So let's talk about what's happening on the next slide through co-curricular opportunities so that you can just give a quick overview of many of the things that, many of the programs and co-curricular opportunities that are part of the program. These are just a few examples from this semester so far. This does not include things that are happening later in the semester or the summer, things that happen in the fall, because again, a slide is only so big. But I just wanted you to have some examples to see that there are many ways to deepen your professional development skills and your learning outside of the classroom. So one example is the MSCF Practitioner Series that we launched in September. We tap into Lisa Sachs's and others' deep network and identify practitioners and invite them to come speak to students on campus. These are key learning and networking opportunities. Practitioners come from the private sector, investment banks, asset management firms, for example, and from the public sector, such as the New York City Office of the Comptroller, the Bureau of Asset Management. And then we also offer skills seminars throughout the year. These are aimed at deepening students' skill sets not just climate finance, but in other areas as well. In January, we had one on project finance and financial modeling. We had one last week on bank capital regulation, and in the fall, we had one on venture capital valuation, just to name a few. And there are many. We also have a lot of connections to industry conferences. We are in New York. We take full advantage of that. And we work to, for example, secure comp tickets so that students can attend industry conferences for a half day or a full day and take advantage of these networking and learning opportunities with practitioners. We also have a lunch and learn series where just the other day we had one on energy critical minerals with a technology and through a technology lens with an engineering professor and through a policy lens with one of the experts at Columbia Center on Sustainable Investment, the center that Lisa Sachs directs. We're planning more for the future. And then last but certainly not least, there are student-driven opportunities. So students in the current cohort have formed the Columbia Climate Finance Network, and they are bringing in speakers for that as well. These are just a few of their examples. We also have a number of partner programs across campus. Students can join clubs across campus as well. One is the Climate Venture Fund. One is the Columbia Sustainable Finance Professionals Network. There are many that you will be introduced to. There are student-led conferences that the MSCF students can take part in, both across the campus, including at the business school, and as I said, at industry conferences as well. So this is just to show you the range of opportunities. There's also research opportunities, just many, many ways to learn outside the classroom that you can use to round out your experience here with us. And on the last slide, I just wanted to give an overview of some of the topics that you'll encounter. Again, this is not an exhaustive list but I just wanted to point out that you're coming from not only around the world, you're coming with quite different backgrounds and very different career goals. And that really informs the wide range of contact areas that we're delving into throughout the program and that students want to explore through clubs, through research, through professional development, through leadership opportunities, academic competitions. So these opportunities are too numerous to mention in this session, but I hope I leave you with this point that there are many ways to deepen your engagement with these subjects, both in the classroom through your courses and outside the classroom. And I want to pass to my colleague, Caitlin, who's going to tell you more about professional development opportunities. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I am very excited to discuss the summer semester, which is an opportunity to apply the learning that you have gained in the classroom to real-world challenges. So the first thing I'll note is that it's a bit of a decision point when you come to the summer semester. You can participate in either a capstone or an internship, and highlighting a bit of the differences between the two. So first, a capstone is done with a group. So usually it's about 5 students working closely with a faculty advisor. And this helps to really round out a very robust final deliverable that you can add to your portfolio. The types of projects we'll get to in a moment, but some other things I'll highlight is that there are weekly class sessions and there are client meetings, and the groups assign different roles like a project manager, a data analysis lead, things like this that you can also put on your resume. Something else to highlight is that there's both a midterm and a final presentation and report, and the final presentation is public. So something else is the internship component. So when you think about the capstone, in addition to it being a group project, it's also projects that are sourced and curated by the Climate School Academic Affairs. But something I should say is that they come from both our own professional network, recommendations from students, and from our faculty advisors. So they come from all over the professional spectrum, but internships are sourced primarily from the students themselves. So you would have to go out and find an opportunity and build that connection. We also curate a list of different internships and share out through the career management office and through our own channels as well. And something is that the internships can be paid or unpaid, and they are primarily in the tri-state area, or you as an individual will be in the tri-state area to accommodate the fact there are on-campus coursework also happening during the summer. But remote opportunities are permissible as long as you're able to attend those classes on campus. And now moving to the next slide, we can share a bit of a snippet of the capstones for this year. So capstones change every year. As I said, that they are sourced from the students, from the faculty, from our professional network. So it depends on who we're working with. But this is a little snapshot of what we're thinking will be taking place during this summer, 2026. And something to highlight is that these projects vary widely in scope. They're working with partners in the nonprofit sector, the private sector, research institutions, and the tasks can range from assessing a strategy within a particular investment portfolio or working with national policy and integrating physical climate risk. There's working with a startup on coral reef restoration, nature-based solutions. So I won't read the entirety of this slide, but you can see the diversity of the types of projects the students will be working with. Critical mineral market analysis versus physical disaster risk impacts on an investment portfolio, as an example. So now moving to the next slide, this is highlighting some on-campus work opportunities that we help to facilitate your connection with. And there are a range of different options. There are internship programs that we facilitate that are administrative in nature or research positions that are offered here at the Climate School or part of the wide ecosystems of centers and projects that we work with. There are something called the Collaborative Research Grant, which is a student-driven opportunity. This is a very competitive opportunity, but really robust in nature, where you're able to identify a topic, develop a relationship with a faculty member, and take a sort of a year-long deep dive into that work, doing a robust research project. There's also a variety of research positions at the centers here on campus that we help to facilitate. The Columbia Center on Sustainable Investment, which Tricia has mentioned, was working closely with Lisa Sachs, is also something that we help to facilitate, but is another competitive opportunity and has paid research assistant opportunities. So the last is teaching assistantships, which there are a variety of courses offered across the different partner school programs. And something to highlight is that for this program, you can really only apply to TA a non-climate school course, but there are many schools across the Columbia ecosystem, many different types of interesting classes. And when you're thinking, okay, how would I know where these different assistantships or research positions are, they would be listed in something called the Wednesday Weekly, which is this weekly student newspaper, and on our career platform, which is hosted on something called 1220. And with that, I will hand it to the career team. I believe Mindy will be going first.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're joining us from. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. And I first also want to offer a huge congratulations on your admission to the MS in Climate Finance program. It's a highly competitive program, so we're thrilled to welcome you to the Columbia Climate School community. So just to share a little bit about me, my name is Mindy Levinson. I'm the Director of Career Management here at the Climate School. I joined the Columbia Climate School almost 2 years ago. It will be my 2-year anniversary actually this April. Before joining the Climate School, I spent nearly 12 years at Columbia's School of Engineering and Applied Science as the Director of Career Placement, where I supported 5 master's programs in the Industrial Engineering and Operations Research Department. Not to date myself or age myself too much, but prior to working in academia, I spent almost 23 years in executive search, including 14 years running my own recruiting firm, placing professionals in the technology sector. So career development and helping people navigate their professional paths has really been a lifelong passion of mine. I truly enjoy working with students and helping them translate their interests and skills into meaningful and impactful career opportunities. So today I'd like to walk you through some of the career resources and professional development opportunities available to you should you decide to join the Climate School. And of course, I truly hope you do. You will have a dedicated career management team. There are currently 4 of us, soon to be 5, that provide you support from the day you enter this program throughout your time here. And even after you leave, we'll actually be touching base with you over the summer to provide some more information about and also get some more information from you about what you're looking for. But we do currently have a team that will provide you one-on-one support and a dedicated career management office from the climate school that supports you throughout this time. Throughout the year, we also offer employer information sessions, some site visits. We bring in organizations that will come and speak directly with the students about their work, their mission, and potential career opportunities. I think last fall we had 31 events. And I know that also my colleague Tricia mentioned Career Practitioner Series. You will not be for a lack of events at Columbia. If anything, that's what it gets. It gets a little bit overwhelming about how many opportunities are available to you. We also host a weekly career talk panel. It's called the Down to Earth Career Talk Series, where we bring in alums and professionals from the field to share their own personal experiences. They've been in your shoes about how they went about their job search, how they decided what they wanted to do, and then they'll share what they do across the different areas of the climate and sustainability space. I did just mention the Climate Finance Practitioner Series that Tricia mentioned, where Lisa Sachs, the director of the program, brings in a lot of her contacts directed for you to take advantage of. And I know Tricia mentioned some of those in her slides, so I won't go over that again. But you'll also receive one-on-one career coaching where we cover a lot of things, but you'll get individualized feedback on your resume, on your cover letter, on LinkedIn. So we'll review that for you and get you more career ready for when you start applying to opportunities. If you have interviews coming up, we offer mock interviews to help you prepare for internships or full-time roles that you might be interviewing for. We recently just held a Climate and Sustainability Career Expo where students have the opportunity to meet and network with a wide range of employers working in the climate, sustainability, energy, finance, consulting, and other related sectors. We encourage you to come to as many events as possible. Networking is the way most people get their jobs, but these types of connections are made available to you by the career team, by our professors, by faculty, by our academic team. So please take advantage to our professional network. We also maintain an exclusive job board. As Caitlin mentioned, it's called 1220, where we post internships and job opportunities specifically targeted towards climate school students and our partner programs. Another opportunity available to students is our alumni mentorship program, where students can be paired with professionals in the field to provide guidance, perspective, and further networking support. And finally, throughout the year, we also offer skills seminars, which focus on developing specific professional or technical skills that employers are seeking or that may not be taught in the curriculum. So you'll have opportunities to fill any gaps that you might like to, or take a deeper dive in certain tools or areas that you might be interested in. And now I'm going to hand the mic over to my newest career team member and colleague, Grace Ling. Grace brings over 15 years of experience across financial services, technology, and sustainability, including roles at Merrill Lynch, BNP Paribas, and several Bay Area fintech companies before earning her master's in sustainability management at Columbia. Grace is going to take a deeper dive into the types of one-on-one support you'll receive and touch upon some recent career outcomes. So take it over, Grace.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mindy. Thanks for the introduction, and congratulations and welcome to all the students. I'm happy you guys are here, happy to get a chance to interact with you guys. So as you can tell, there's a lot that goes into this program, and you're not going to be at a shortage for resources in terms of coursework, in terms of opportunities to engage with practitioners, ability to develop additional skills, and also, of course, the careers resource team. So Mindy just covered a lot in terms of what our team does. So I just want to quickly anchor everyone into our framing and strategy when it comes to personalized career support. So you'll notice here that we think about career development across 5 key areas, and this is framed not as a linear path or format. It's more circular. And as you're going on your journey, and perhaps some of you have already experienced this if you have professional experience in the past, developing your career is an iterative process. So you'll be going through these different areas multiple times while you're here and also in your career journey as a professional. So the first area that we really want to anchor you in terms of thinking about all the services that Mindy had mentioned is discovering your direction. So climate finance, if you haven't gotten a sense already, it touches a lot of different areas and it plays a role in various actors and organizations within like the financial ecosystem. And it's really about mobilizing and managing financial resources to support projects that help mitigate climate change or help communities adapt to its impacts. So part of your learning here is you're going to be exposed to a lot of different things, but part of your work in terms of developing yourself professionally is clarifying your own interests in terms of which area you really are intrigued by and want to have a deeper dive into, understanding your own strengths and the skills that are required for the potential paths that you want to go down. So that's all encompassing in under discovering your direction. So the next area of work that we really are here to help you support is crafting your narrative. And that means translating your past experiences along with what you're learning here in the program into a clear story about the type of work you want to do and the value you bring. So practically speaking, that ties back to what Mindy mentioned in terms about refining your resume, having a targeted cover letter that's customized, also customizing your LinkedIn profile, and also preparing to talk about your experiences and the type of work you want to do and the value you bring in professional conversations. The third area is networking, as Mindy mentioned. And to us, networking really just means reaching out and connecting with professionals in your fields of interest and having conversations with them. By having conversations with them, you can really learn more about the industry and what different roles actually entail and what challenges a team actually faces that you might be able to solve. So you can think of this piece in terms of doing on the ground research in terms of like the market and the job market, what's available and what's out there, while also building genuine professional relationships. Um, and of course, networking is not the easiest thing for everyone. Cold outreach could be a little bit awkward. So as part of the career team, we're here to help you strategize in terms of how to approach networking, how to craft your outreach messages, and also, of course, how to follow up. And the fourth area that we want you to think about in terms of strategy is learning to engage with confidence. So when opportunities do start coming up, the team here is here to support you, as Mindy mentioned, with mock interviews, help you practice telling your story clearly about what you've done, what you care about, and the strengths that you bring. And the goal is to really help you walk into interviews feeling prepared and being able to communicate your value. And the fifth area I want to point you towards is sustaining momentum. You, you're going to be covering a lot while you're here in the program, and also job searches or career pivots, wherever you are in your journey, can also be challenging. And it's very normal for the process to take time in terms of securing a role. And our role as a career team is here to help you navigate that process, manage any setbacks, celebrate both the small and the big wins, and stay focused most of all, and remind yourself to be kind to yourself during this process. Um, and in addition to one-on-one coaching, as Mindy mentioned, we also, of course, like run workshops and group programming. And we do a lot of employer outreach as well. So half of what the career team does is building and maintaining relationships with organizations. And the benefit of this is that when students come to us with clarity about, which direction they want to go to, because we've built industry relationships, we're able to think of persons that we are able to connect students with in terms of coffee chats or just giving them an opportunity to learn more about a specific industry or type of role. And the main takeaway that I really want you guys to get from this is that career development with me or anyone on the team here is really a partnership. And what we see is that the students who get the most out of our support are the ones who are actively engaging with coaching, networking, all the programming opportunities. So it's really your effort and intention and curiosity that are going to be the key ingredients that will help make this partnership work and also drive your career growth. And really my goal when we're working together is I want to help you lead the program, not just with your next role, but also with the skills and confidence to continue building your careers as you develop, because it's going to be inevitable that you're going to continue to grow and your career path is going to unfold and evolve over time. So for the next slide, please, I want to share some stats. Okay, great. So as mentioned, the MS in Climate Finance is a brand new program, so we don't yet have employment data for it. But we do want to share some sort of a bit of a data point in terms of our MA in Climate Society program. And that's a program that's been running for over a decade, and it helps give you a bigger picture sense of where students interested in climate careers could end up. So this is the employment data for 2025 employment outcomes 6 months after graduation. You'll see here that 88% of our graduates are employed, continue on education or in part-time roles. And that figure is based off of a 79% knowledge rate, which is self-reported by the students. So just as a plug, after you graduate, please do let us know what you're doing and what you're up to so that we can collect this data and also present it to the next upcoming cohort of admitted students. And of those 86% of students of those 88%, 86% of those students secure roles in the US. And most of our graduates ended up in major cities such as New York and California. But of course, we also see folks in Beijing, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C., and also elsewhere. And then on the next slide, please. This is just a bit more a detailed breakdown of where graduates have gone. The biggest area you'll see so far are like government and public administration, energy, academia, education. So you'll see that there's a wide variety of areas. And then on the next slide, so in terms of MS in Climate Finance, the program, um, this slide is more of where we see you and the students in our current program that we believe will end up. I won't go through all the organizations on this slide, but you can feel free to take a screenshot. The main takeaway here is that climate finance is not just one specific field or industry, but again, it's really about mobilizing and managing the financial resources to support the projects for efforts that mitigate climate change and help communities adapt to the impacts and realities. So it's really about transforming the economy so that the greener options are the safer and more affordable, resilient options. Um, and each of these organizations within the financial service ecosystem, they all have their specific strengths, capabilities, investment risk tolerance levels, and specific mandates that they work under. So some of these organizations are going to be more familiar with the concepts of climate finance, and others won't So depending on where you want to go and where you end up, just keep in mind that part of the work and that you'll have to do as developing your career and yourself as a professional is learning how to convey what you're learning here at the climate school and showing how it would be valuable to the work of these particular organizations that you're targeting. So all that is to say is that where you end up really depends on the experience you're already bringing, what you're learning in the program, which electives you choose, and any other experience that you decide to take on or additional skills that you want to learn. And I'll also just say a full year goes by pretty quickly in this program, and it is packed. So I do suggest for you guys to start thinking about the type of organizations, the type of climate solutions, and which particular areas of finance that you're drawn to. It doesn't have to be a forever decision, but it's good to start thinking about that now. And doing that research and that self-reflection before you start the program can really help you navigate how you want to shape your time here. Because I'm sure you can tell already there's a lot of opportunity. So it's useful to have some sort of orientation. And again, of course, things can change along the way, the more you learn and the more you're exposed to. And then finally, next, I just want to highlight some of our climate school alumni and just show a few recent graduates and the types of roles that they've taken on. Even though these students weren't part of a climate finance program because it didn't exist yet, you'll still see that students have entered into climate finance spaces, renewable energy development, policy and research, international organizations like the UN, local government and economic development. Um, but I'd also like to call back on, if you could recall, on the demographic slide of that Alfred presented in terms of the inaugural class of the MS in Climate Finance degree. Those students will also be part of the alumni network soon, and also potential folks for you to reach out to and connect with. And with that, I'll hand it off to Marion, who will talk about financial aid.
Actually, we have a surprise. We have a surprise guest. Thank you so much, Grace. So the surprise guest, as mentioned from the top, is the one, the only Professor Lisa Sachs. Professor Sachs, take it away for a nice warm welcome, and then you can hand it back to me.
I'm an example. We did the sustainability framework.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
100%.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I am joining you from right next door to from the UK House of Lords, where I just co-organized with one of the peers in the House of Lords a really wonderful session on how the UK can leverage its financial ecosystem to more effectively support outward investment in emerging markets, which was really excellent. And we had representation from the public and private institutions throughout the UK, and it gave us a real research agenda for our students and for my colleagues at CCSI. So I'm sorry not to be there with you from the top, but we were just wrapping up that session. I talk about you and this program everywhere I go, including in the House of Lords, and how important it is now more than ever to have clarity and innovative ideas in this field of climate finance, which is becoming more important, not less important, as some ask about in the US. In fact, even among US institutions. And in this meeting, we were hearing it's even the public institutions that are supporting outward investment are still extremely active. We were talking about the mayors and cities too. So the urgency of thinking about the intersection of climate and finance, but also the serious clarity that's needed, because there's a lot of confusion around the difference between managing the risk and actually mobilizing finance, how we can manage trade-offs between providing insurance and fiscal liability and so on. So a lot of confusion that is leading to increased public liabilities and not leading to the mobilization of capital that's needed. This first year of the master's program has been absolutely wonderful. It's been a dream come true. As some of you heard, those of you who were able to join us in person last week, we had an absolutely exceptional, diverse cohort interested in all aspects of that climate and finance landscape. I'm learning as much from our students as I hope they are from us, and not only in the classroom, but you've probably heard about the incredible experts that we're able to bring in, including an open invitation I gave to everyone in this room to come join us at Columbia to share the expertise and the activities that this group is doing. So I could not be more excited about this program. As Alfred and everyone knows, I'm not good at 5 minutes. I like to speak for an hour. So I asked Alfred if I could schedule a separate time with all of you to be able to talk even more about my motivation for the program, why I think my approach to this field is getting traction, because it's a different approach than I think others are taking. For those who aren't following me on LinkedIn, you might want to, because you can see some of the discussions that I'm entering into. So next Saturday at 8 a.m. New York time, we're organizing another Zoom call. Just me. I will discuss even more about my thinking, but mainly want to hear from all of you and hear your questions and be able to talk even more about the program and how I see the field emerging. And we've scheduled it for an hour, but I don't have constraints after, so I'm happy to stay on with anybody after that too. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say hello as part of this session, and just to tell you how extremely excited I am for this for our next year, where the quality of the applicants, if one can even imagine from the first year, was even more exceptional. So congratulations to those of you for getting through what was really tough criteria, and really excited to continue our discussion next week.
Thank you so much, Professor Sachs. Thank you so much for joining the call today. And everybody, we want to reemphasize you were going to get a full hour in a very casual format Saturday, March 28th. So if you haven't already registered, please feel free to do so. We'll send out a reminder email, of course, infamous for our reminder email. So thank you again.
Thank you very
Professor
much.
Sachs.
Thank you so much.
And now what we're going to do is just hand over the presentation to Husni Abdul.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me today. And I want to start by congratulating all of you on your admissions. My name is Husni Abdul and I am with the Student Financial Planning Office. So today we will discuss a general overview of what your financial aid package may look like. So on the top left-hand corner, that is the institutional aid that some students may be awarded depending on your application. That's determined at the time of admissions, and students are normally notified upon acceptance whether or not they would be receiving any form of scholarship. To students interested in continuing to apply for scholarship, the school has vetted external scholarships on the left-hand side below. You can apply for these. You should be eligible for them. However, we do emphasize that all students look at the deadlines for these applications as well as which semesters they will apply to, just to make sure that they're within the guidelines. And then on the right-hand corner, for students who are eligible for federal aid, you would normally receive federal work study, and that would depend on your need, which is determined by your FAFSA. And then you would also be eligible for the federal direct unsubsidized loan. To qualify for that, you would have to have a FAFSA submitted, be a U.S. citizen, have a valid social security number, be maintaining SAP, and have the school code input as 002707 to make sure that it's going to the right school. And lastly, it's private loans. We'll go more into detail about these in a later slide. So if we can just go on to the next slide, please. So how is your financial aid determined? Usually it is determined by your overall cost of attendance. That basically determines what your cap would be for the overall academic year. And it's broken down into two categories: the direct costs, which include tuition and fees and health insurance, and the indirect costs. This is the money that you would receive for living expenses, books and supplies, and transportation is included as part of it. Generally, these costs are the same for all students in a program, and the cost of attendance is what creates the budget to determine how much financial aid you can receive. However, your individual costs may vary. And if it's more than what the school has budgeted in, we emphasize that you contact us in the beginning of the semester to try to notify us so that we can try to alter it if need be. If we can go on to the next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So just to give you a further breakdown of the cost of attendance, this is the anticipated direct cost. This is an estimate at the moment, but all of the cost will be determined and finalized by June. So if you see there is the tuition per semester, everything is going to be broken down per semester when you see it on your bill. But we give you the anticipation of what the annual charges will look like. So this is what you can anticipate for a full-time semester as well as for the academic year when you start. And then if we go to the next one, this is the breakdown of the indirect costs. So if you need assistance with living costs, books, supplies, transportation, or personal expenses, this is normally where you would be able to tap into the funds. Just a quick note, in order to access these funds, your direct costs would have had to been covered. So whether that's paying out of pocket, private loans, federal loans, scholarship, once your direct cost is covered, anything above that would generate a refundable amount, which would dip into the indirect cost portion of your financial aid. And that money would be sent back to you. Normally, disbursements occur about 10 days prior to the start of your first class. So if you go over the loan types, there is, as mentioned before, the federal direct unsubsidized loan. Now, in order to qualify for it, there is no credit check. You do have to have a completed FAFSA, and it is capped at 20,500 per academic year. The academic year is usually broken down into 2 semesters. So you'll see that you're going to get 20,500 for the fall semester and the spring semester. They're going to be split in half, but then you'll get a lump sum amount for the summer. And it is prorated based off of enrollment. For students who are taking less than full-time, the unsubsidized loan would be prorated. It does contain an origination fee of 1.057% and an interest rate of 7.94%. The interest is subject to change as of July 1st. So when you start your program, the interest will be different. If you want to know exactly what it is, you can either search on studentaid.gov or contact us and we'll be happy to provide that information. And the origination fee is subject to change as of October 1st. So for any loans that disperse after October 1st, you would have the new origination fee once it's determined. And then there's private loans. So private loans have interest rates that may be fixed or variable and tied to a repayment plan. That is going to be determined between you and the loan servicer. And most lenders have tiered rate structure. So what that basically means is the better your credit score, the more likely you are to get better rates. And then you can borrow up to the full budget minus any other aid. So if you have scholarship, then you would have to deduct that from the overall cost of attendance, and whatever's left over, that's the amount that you can borrow. And there are no cosigner options available for international students. The Columbia website, if you look below, has a reference list of private loan servicers that Columbia recommends, but we are asking students to hold off on applying for any private loan until after April 15th. So that way we can try to optimize the rates. So Columbia is in negotiation with certain loan servicers to ensure that students can apply for optimal rates. If you apply before April 15th, you wouldn't be caught into that category. So we're just asking students to hold off for now on applying. And if we can go to the last slide. Thank you. So this is a quick plug for iGrad. What is iGrad? It is a free web-based financial literacy platform that provides lifetime, no-cost, personalized financial wellness education and loan management resources to users at hundreds of colleges and universities nationwide. So what that basically means is it's a really, really good budgeting tool that's offered to Columbia students. When you attend, you should have lifetime access to this. And the benefit that I see in it is not only is it a great budgeting tool for students who like to keep track of like daily expenses, monthly expenses, etc., but it also, when you begin the repayment process, if you do borrow any federal loans, you can tie it directly to the federal website so that it manages the loans for you and it updates according to like changes to your repayment plan. So I think it's a great tool. I emphasize that all students should take advantage of it. And if you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you. I'm going to pass it on to the next one.
Thanks so much, Husney. And on to our next is talking about kind of student life, conferences, different bonding opportunities. So many of you on the call today know them quite well. Both Jasmine Zong and Esther Namalondo are current students here at Columbia Climate School, and I will allow specifically Jasmine to kick things off talking about student life.
Okay, thanks, Alfred. First of all, congratulations, everyone. Oh, sorry, I kept my camera. Okay, congratulations, everyone. So my name is Jasmine. I'm doing the MA in Climate Society here, and my background is in international relations and social policy. And here with me is Esther. Do you want to introduce yourself, Esther?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Esther, and I'm a current student in the climate finance program, and probably had a lot of one-on-ones with you. Just wanted to extend congratulations as well to your admission. We look forward to welcoming you to Columbia soon.
Great.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so for student activities, we want to walk you through the slide a bit because these photos are actually from our year, and I think they can give you a really honest picture of what student life looks like at the climate school. So I will start from my experience first. So starting from the top left, that's a group of climate school students at the Climate and Sustainability Career Expo, as Mindy mentioned. And moving just below that, that's the photo we took at the very last session for dynamics, which is one of your core classes. And I know a lot of people are concerning about how difficult the class is, but I want to be really honest about with you. I was very stressful at first as well, but I ended up joining and loving it because all the TAs and professors are super, super helpful. I believe Esther had the same experience too,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then this is one and only class that you'll be doing group works with all students from the other two programs. So super, super interesting. And then in the middle and the bottom row, that's the photo from poster sessions for climate justice class. Although it's not one of your core classes, but I believe the idea of climate justice can be linked through different topics within your curriculum. And then there are also like classes in similar format where you can present your work and engage with other groups' research. And on the social side, on the top right corner, that's me and some friends at the end of semester party. This is one of the many events that involve people from all different programs. So like there are events like Friendsgiving, or regular social hours, so you can connect with people that you don't usually see in class there. And of course, there are like other student activities and organizations available. And what's really cool about this is you don't have to wait until something exists. You can start one yourself. So for example, my friend and I actually started the Columbia Commodity Club this year. So it's never too late to get started, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. So what about you, Esther?
Yeah, no, I my favorite picture always on the slide is the lawn. I love to highlight that one. That is the grass in front of Butler Library and Low Library as well. So when it's warmer outside, unfortunately it's not today, a number of students, will lie down, play games, sunbathe, study. That's my absolute favorite part of student life on campus. Not pictured here, are also some presentations and competitions that occur across the community at Columbia, and these can include the CFA, Institute Research Challenge, the Columbia Global Energy Summit, at CGEP, which is the Center on Global Energy Policy, hosted at SIPA, the School of International Public Affairs, a lot of acronyms, as well as the Kellogg School of Investing Challenge, Sustainable Investment Challenge that I believe Jasmine participating or is participating in. And so there are several, prestigious competitions that primarily focus on, yeah, investing and targeting graduate students across the campus at Columbia. There's also a number of different events here hosted by our Columbia Climate Graduate Council, CCGC. Some of you may have seen Evan on our panel last week at Admitted Students Day. And so they'll host a number of different events, including the happy hours, which we all love, career team Q&A sessions, Lunar New Year celebrations. So yeah, a bunch of different things going on campus. And I just wanted to highlight that for student life, presentations, bonding. Yeah, if you could go to the next slide, please. Okay, so other Columbia resources include our extensive libraries. Columbia has about 22 to 25 libraries. There's some It depends on who you're talking to. But they, offer or stretch across 246 miles of materials. I learned that last week on a tour, that it stretches 246 miles of materials. Key sites really include Butler Library. That is my second home. When I'm not here, I'm there. Actually just recently found another library that I'm going to gatekeep. I'm just kidding. It is the engineering school library that is currently my favorite library. Avery Library is amazing, as well as the Business of Economics library in Uris Hall. So there's a lot of different study pocket sessions available to students on campus. There are endless events, calendars if we've had a one-on-one, or if not, I'm always raving about the different events, which can include the MSCF Practitioner Series that Trisha talked about earlier, alumni chats, several energy focused events at CGEP, the Center on Global Energy Policy. And our cohort also created the MSCF, Climate Finance Network. So student led, and you get to meet with different practitioners in fields that you're interested in. So I feel like you can never really say you're bored, because it's just a bunch of stuff always going on. I'll hand it off to Jasmine.
Thank you. So I want to highlight one event for like just for a general example. So last year, Matt Damon visited campus for an event on water conservation and water policy. So you can see there are different people like from all around the globe, and then you can see the picture on the left corner there. It's the photo from World Leaders Forum. It runs during Climate Week, and it's when the UN General Assembly is in session in New York. And Columbia typically hosts 3 to 5 heads of states at Lowell Library, and they give talk and answer questions directly from students, and that's not something you can get at most institutions. And then I also want to highlight Wednesday Weekly, which Caitlin just mentioned. It's the Climate School newsletter. It will be written and compiled by Academic Affairs, and it lands in your inbox every week with a lot of internships, job postings, events, announcements. So there are a lot of resources available for you. And of course, there's Climate Week itself. It's not just a Columbia event, it's a citywide moment, and being here put you right at the center of it. Next slide,
Yeah.
please. Okay, so now I want to tell you about the forum because this building is gonna be your second home. I know for Esther, your second home is Butler Library, but for many of you, the forum will be your second home. So it's located right at a corner of 125th Street and Broadway, next to the Columbia Business School. So if you're coming from the main Morningside campus, it's a short walk, and you will be doing that walk a lot because there are a lot of your classes will happen here and also in the main campus as well. So importantly, this is where the academic affairs team is based. So if you're looking for a meeting with your advisor in person, this is the place to go. And they're incredibly accessible, and in-person advising is really something to take advantage of. And I also want to highlight here is the ground floor of the forum is actually a quiet space to work. I quite enjoy working there. And one thing to notice is that it offers free Wi-Fi to local residents. So it's not just a university building, but a community-facing space, which I think says something about the climate school's ethos. And of course, right next door, there's one cafe called Dear Mama. If you need coffee between classes or just want to take a break, it's one of those details that make your day-to-day life feel more comfortable. And particularly speaking, if you were here for the in-person event last week, you would notice is the building is 1 minute walk from the subway station. So it's very easy to get around the city from there. Like, for example, you're attending interviews or any events in the city that makes you accessible to everywhere. And Esther, how's your experience with the forum?
I quite enjoy the forum in Dear Mama. I was actually there yesterday for coffee. No one was in office. That was a little sad. But no, it's a great place to be. I've had a couple of different skills seminars. I know Dynamics office hours were hosted here as well. You already spoke about the Dynamic Career Management team and Academic Affairs located here. And yeah, it's just a nice little hub off campus. There's also, I know you can walk to campus, but there's also a shuttle. I feel like we need to highlight that shuttle offered by Columbia. I am obsessed with it. You just tap your CUID card and get around. So that's a fun way to get between campuses. Thank you. So Columbia housing is actually quite limited. So on the slide here, you'll see some options exercised by students to secure their apartments. First and foremost, Columbia has the off-campus housing marketplace. That's the Columbia Off-Campus Housing Services. And it's a great starting point and lists, you can find roommates here, you can list subleases and list apartments as well. Have access to frequently asked questions, and it's a great intro to renting education, covering renting basics in New York City. This is actually where I found my roommates that I live with. They had connected on this marketplace prior, and I knew one of them before, so I messaged her and ended up joining them, and it was great. A great way of vetting people, and living with those who may have similar schedules and interests. You can create a profile, I believe, after depositing your, tuition, create your uni, and start searching and making those connections for those of you who are interested in that avenue. International House is a residency program for graduate students as well, and young professionals around the world. A very lovely open space living dorm situation, with an open-minded international and vibrant community. Um, Zillow and Street Easy are fantastic. They're really the backbones of finding apartments in New York City. Usually have similar listings, if not the exact same ones. And Zillow, which actually acquired Street Easy in 2013, is the US's largest real estate and home related marketplace. So it's a great way of, yeah, fantastic in narrowing down neighborhoods and boroughs, budgets, room requirements, bathroom sizes, amongst a number of other factors. And lastly, there is a Facebook group that you can join to meet future people, as well, and just vet people who are affiliated with Columbia. Um, yeah, for housing opportunities. Not sure if you wanted to add anything else, Jasmine.
So Esther covered a lot about off-campus housing, and I know a lot of you are interested in on-campus housing. So Columbia does offer graduate housing, but it's quite limited. So it works similar to what Esther mentioned about off-campus housing service. Basically, essentially, you're building a profile that for example, you're answering questions like, are you a morning person, night person? Do you have visitors over often? Or do you like socialize a lot in your living space where there's restrictions? So you submit a deposit and submit a profile, and then you will be able to browse available space within the Columbia's portfolio. And then it can also look very different depending on situation. So for example, for single students, there's apartment style housing where you have your own bedroom and a shared unit. And for students coming with family members, there are also one and two bedroom apartments that are unfurnished. And most Columbia housing is located in and around Morningside Heights. So as you can see from the map here. And personally, I actually live off campus, and I noticed there's a lot of my friends are living in outer boroughs. So one tip I want to give you is don't feel like you have to limit yourself to the immediate neighborhood. You can just take subway and commute to the class. Yeah. So that's all from us. I think with that, Alfred, I will hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Jasmine and Esther. Isn't it nice just for the administration? Now you see Jasmine and Esther again. I know many of you guys have met with them, especially Esther. I just want to highlight some important dates coming up. First and foremost is, of course, I know many of you have acceptance response deadlines coming up. In early June, initial information to students along with kind of course registration, orientation, and career office services. That's typically when the formal communication to your Columbia University email accounts kick off. I know many of you are asking about orientation dates, and we're going to be sharing those dates very shortly. Also, late July to actually mid July is when registration typically opens. Last week of August is orientation week. It is a multi day orientation week, and I know, again, many of you are asking for exact dates. We will be sharing those shortly. September 8th definitively is the first day of classes. December 23rd is the last day for fall semester. January 19th is the first day for spring semester. And then May 14th is the last day for spring semester. And of course, late May through mid-August is the summer session with electives, capstone, and or internship. that takes place. So what we're going to go ahead and do is really open up to Q&A. I am going to stop sharing my screen, and maybe for those of you joining us still on with us, of course, everybody's still on with us, go ahead and come off camera. And we are more than happy to address any specific questions maybe that come into the Q&A inbox. The Q&A's been it was a little quiet to me, but maybe it wasn't quiet. Maybe I was just focused on progressing slides. So by all means, if you have a question for the for our administrators or current students, feel free to type it in the Q&A. We would love to address it, especially if it's a broad question that's helpful for everybody joining the session today. Feel free to ask the question. Okay. Great question. So the first question that came in is for international students, when would be the most appropriate time to arrive in New York City? Anybody have just kind of a general word of advice for international students when it would be most appropriate to arrive in New York City?
I can answer that. Hi, everyone. I'm Justine Herrera, Senior Director of Academic Programs, and I also help oversee orientation. So I said I would think that for international students, I would recommend arriving maybe 2 weeks prior to orientation. And as Alfred said, we'll send out the confirmed dates, but it's usually this year it'll likely be the very last week of August into September. So I would say 2 weeks prior to that so that you can get acclimated to New York, especially if you've never been here before, and acclimated to Manhattan, if you'll be living in the city.
Another question from Amira is for international students, what are the available loans and how to specifically apply? Husty, I'm sorry to put you on the spot on that.
It's okay,
Yeah.
Alfred. This is my specialty. So, great question. Unfortunately, international students are only eligible for private loans. So, FAFSA would not be eligible. International students would not be eligible for the FAFSA. Usually, we would recommend students to try for Empower or Prodigy, at least initially, because those are the no cosigner options. And then if those don't pan out, you can come to us and discuss the other options that may be available based off of the negotiations that Columbia is currently undergoing.
Excellent. Thank you, Husni. Another question is, what's with these anonymous attendees? Come on, guys, we love a name. Thank you so much for all the information shared. I'm wondering if a gap semester is allowed to be taken during the program, probably during the spring semester. I know the answer to that, but I'd love to hear a nice, firm administrative voice around it. Maybe Trisha will take it on.
Hi, this is students. It is a 3-semester program, fall, spring, summer. We have had cases in the past, not with this program, but prior to the MSCF launch, where students had to take a leave of absence, maybe for a medical situation. And there's a pathway through academic affairs to fulfill the requirements of that. But it is designed to be three sequential semesters. 3 consecutive semesters, sorry.
Excellent. Thank you, Trisha. Next question from Hedda. Hedda is asking, as an international student, will the visa allow you to work part-time? And would current students recommend having a part-time work given the workload at Columbia? And maybe, actually, if I could spotlight Esther, would know intimately kind of the protocols behind that. Esther, can you share a little bit or respond to Hedda?
Yes, so I love this little internship that I have with the admissions office. I do work part-time during the school year. I'm not just saying that because my boss is on the call. It's truly a highlight of my week. So I am able to work up to 20 hours throughout the entire school year. This is the same case for the summer, seeing as you will have summer classes. So students should be looking to find an internship that will allow them to work up to 20 hours to remain in good standing with their visa requirements. And then post-graduation, obviously you are able and eligible to work for 40 hours. I would love if someone else could just add on to that. But yeah.
Does anybody want to talk a little briefly? Maybe Hedda's also thinking about the internship summer as an international student. I know, Mindy, you answered a question relating to it, but there's some unique protocols about that as an international student to do the internship. Could we outline maybe for the audience, like kind of what that looks like as an international student that wishes to pursue an internship in their final semester?
Sure. Yes, you are certainly eligible to pursue an internship, a part-time internship as an international student. You can work up to 20 hours a week. You'll have to get authorization through curricular practical training or CPT, which is a process that is through our ISSO office. And typically you're eligible for CPT after completing two full consecutive semesters. So that's typically how it works. But on-campus jobs, you have access to right away. You don't have to use CPT for that. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mindy. Another question from Leela is, I didn't quite catch when the course registration for fall and spring. Are we automatically enrolled into the first semester climate core courses? Tricia, would you like to take that one? Awesome.
Sure, yes. You are not automatically enrolled in the fall, but you will get a number of registration, a guidebook that we produce. We also have a number of registration office hours. Those are virtual sessions where you can come and ask questions. But we don't automatically enroll you, but you will have a prescribed set of courses for the fall semester, and we will lay out for you exactly what that is. 95% of the cohort will take the same exact courses in the fall semester. The other 5% will be members of the cohort who, as I mentioned earlier, there are exemption exams at the business school. And if you exempt out, you will have the opportunity to follow a slightly different pathway. Again, you'll work very closely. It'll be very clear to you. We're not enrolling you, you're doing it yourself, but we're basically holding your hand and showing you exactly what to do. In subsequent semesters, students do meet with me as their academic advisor for the whole cohort. And for example, the spring is the biggest semester in terms of elective availability. So I meet with everybody in October and early November, and I plot out with you what are your goals, what are your career goals, how can the elective options really best align with what you want to do professionally and also where your interests lie. And we talk that through. And then again, we have that opportunity to meet. I just did it in February for the summer semester. So I can always meet with you. It's less necessary in the going into the fall because you do have the set of courses that are prescribed for you.
And thank you, Tricia. And that actually, the next set of questions, it directly complements what you previewed for the exemption exam. Some students would like to know a little bit more about when they would take the exemption exams, timeline, and then also confirming that these would be online exemption exams.
100,000% online because you're coming from all over the world. We're not asking you to come here in the summer just to take an exam, so fear not on that. This past year, they were taken late June to about mid-July. It was about a 3-week window. I don't have confirmed dates from the business school yet, but I expect it'll be around the same time of year. You're given access to a portal. There's a few technical things you have to do to get into the portal. You're set up on the back end over here, and then you arrive at the portal and you will have access to take those exams. They're graded within about 2 weeks. And you'll find out the results, and then I will email you and tell you you've passed or you haven't passed. And if you pass, these are the options for you. In most cases, students, if they pass, let's say 1 or 2, will take capital markets and investments early. That's normally a spring course. You'll take it in the fall instead. If you are someone who passes all 3 of the core course exemption exams, then you will take an elective in the fall semester. Again, I will coordinate that with you to tell you what options are available to you. But most people do pass, of the people who pass an exemption exam, most just pass 1 or 2. And again, that's online. So let's consider it early July is probably the sweet spot, but you have this 2-week window, you take it on your own time.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Alejandra asked a question relating to the health insurance and the indirect costs. I see, Husni, you started tackling it, but it could be helpful to share for everybody.
Yeah, of course. So the health insurance is a mandatory cost that will be applied to your bill every fall. You can waive it. Last year, the waiver period, the deadline for it was September 30th. If you have insurance that's applicable to New York State, as part of the waiver, they're just going to ask you to provide that insurance. And once they see that you are insured within New York City, you should be able to waive those costs for both the fall and the spring. But just make sure to do it every fall if you come the next academic year, as it would be reapplied annually.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we'll just answer maybe two more questions. So, in terms of one question relates to financial aid. I just want to briefly describe if you were awarded a merit scholarship, it would be automatically in your decision letter. If you're still awaiting possible financial aid, again, it would be in your decision letter. If you wish to be considered for financial aid and it's not in your decision letter, you can email the admissions office, and then we can convey your request to the scholarship committee. Although I want to stress that at this stage, funding is limited. Another question related to international student visas and support in that regard. It's critical that if you are an international student and you are thinking about studying in the United States, this is the year that you really need to start committing to programs and taking action very quickly. So if you're on the call now and you think the MS in Climate Finance program is the best fit for you, we suggest that you immediately submit your deposit, because in order to start the I-20 application process and schedule your visa interview with a U.S. embassy or consulate abroad, you have to submit the tuition deposit. Do we support you in that regard? We have a lot of extensive resources through the International Students and Scholars Office on the I-20 application process. Feel free to email the admissions team and we can point you in the right direction. But again, if you are an international student and you are deeply committed to this program in particular, we suggest beginning the I-20 process as soon as possible, as visa interview wait times can be quite lengthy, depending on the region of the world with which you are coming from. And then for just one final question, let's see, current students, based on your experience, what's the maximum number of courses you can think is manageable throughout the whole semester for those who are interested in taking as many electives as possible without hurting their GPA? I love that guy. We love that ambition. That's a very Columbia University student question. So maybe, Trisha would have kind of the nuances around what the maximums are, but then I would love Esther, as a climate finance student, to share what she thinks is manageable. So Trisha, maybe you can begin and then let Esther just give a concluding note.
Yeah, sure. So the maximum is 18 credits. So if you're going to go over the norm of 15 credits, you can take a 1.5 and land at 16.5, or you can take a 3-credit course and land at 18. 18 would be the max, and that would be captured within your same tuition without going over in terms of that. In terms of manageable, it will differ from student to student. And I will say, before I toss it to Esther, on the student perspective, I will say that that is something that if you wish to go over, and again, we applaud that ambition, you would meet with me. We'd make sure that you were meeting satisfactory academic progress, that you had the minimum 3.0 GPA, and we make sure that we think about it holistically in terms of what are the classes you're taking, what are you doing extracurricularly, maybe you're doing other things outside the school. Let's make sure that you can manage the demands overall. So I wouldn't say there's one answer for everyone, but 18 would be the max. And I'll toss it to Esther.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I would say that it definitely differs from student to student and interests, namely because CBS offers more 1.5 credits than Columbia Climate School. And so you have more variety and can add and pick and choose on that end. In my experience, I found 16.5 credits to be the sweet spot. And I will be sticking with that. Yeah, so I would recommend that, but definitely feel it out and see, first semester, I think it's 15 for total, how that feels for you. And if you feel like you can add on more, then you definitely have the freedom to do so the following semester.
Excellent. Well, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our participants today: Mindy, Husni, Trisha, Jasmine, Esther, Caitlin, Grace, Justine. Justine made it a celebrity Q&A appearance. We love it. We love it. So thank you so much. And of course, Damaris and Kayla. for being on the back end. Guys, come off camera. Come on, you gotta face the audience. So thank you so much again for helping with the Q&A. We really sincerely do appreciate it. And then final note, huge congratulations everybody joining this call, all the admitted MS and climate finance students. Huge congratulations. And if you have follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, it's a continuation of a conversation. We do have the March 28th session with Lisa Sachs that all of you should be registered for. And then finally, we have another student panel occurring on Monday, March 23rd. You're going to get an email blast about that. There will be climate finance students joining that panel as well. So thank you so much, everybody. Congratulations. And we will continue the conversation. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.